Do you think that women are property?
So I think my sister is her husband's property. I'm not saying anything new. I'm not saying anything which is really, truly even controversial. The whole world agreed that the woman belongs to the man when she decides to give herself to a man.
Slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. Who knows CPR? Well, me. Help him. No. Why? Because I ain't gay.
That, of course, is Andrew Tate. Importantly, that is pre-recorded video. It's not live, you'll notice, because it's not in prison. But anyway, that is Andrew Tate, and he has ruined a lot of people's lives. Primarily the women who he has exploited and victimized and allegedly raped. He's certainly ruined their lives. But a lot of people who have watched his content, who might be young enough or vulnerable enough or isolated enough to not realize that they're being conned by a moron, might believe that misogynistic, violent comments like you saw in that clip, and you can find 1,000 times as many on social media right now, is actually a way to live, that it will produce a happy man for some reason. And anyway, it's such a problem now that there are some schools that are trying to figure out how they can do kind of like subtle deprogramming of young boys who have been ruined by watching Andrew Tate videos. So in South London, teachers have tried to explain to their students that misogynistic jokes and rhetoric can escalate to serious crimes like sexual harassment and rape. To be fair, they're trying to explain how that escalation can happen, but Andrew Tate did it first. He showed how it can escalate into those crimes. Anyway, they talked to 30 students in one classroom and asked them questions like, do we think Tate is still harmless? What happens when we take in his messages? Conversation quickly turned into a debate about rape, with about 10 of the students maintaining that women were responsible for their sexual assaults, a view propagated by Tate. One of the teachers asked the students how they would feel if one of their family members was a rape victim, and the students' tone apparently changed then. At that point, a lot of the boys changed their tone when I put their mother or sister in that spot, but it was worrying that a few core kids didn't and still said they would be to blame. Yes, I guess it's supposed to be a silver lining that specific women are still considered people by these young boys, but no, apparently he's so effective that even if they heard that their mother had been raped, some of them would ask what she had been wearing. So this is the legacy of Andrew Tate. Yasmin, what do you think?
Oh man, so misogyny for one, it's so boring to me. It's so played out and it's based in nothing, right? But I think it is horrifying how one man can undo decades, if not centuries, of feminism amongst an entire generation. But I love how proactive they are being in the UK about all of this. That said, and I apologize if this gets a little tangential at some point, but I think there's a bigger context here regarding social idols and icons and the people that we elevate in society. I was talking to someone about this morning. And I think this should at least be part of the conversation when discussing people who like, Andrew Tate and SBF and Elon Musk, or even to use a more palatable example, somebody like The Rock, right? The way that we all seem to worship these people. And I was thinking about how we tend to search for heroes in our movies and in the real world, but the reason why heroes only exist in fiction is because they are not real, because they cannot exist in the real world, right? Batman doesn't work in real life. He barely works in fiction, right? Real life people are so much more complex and more terrible. And it's sad because we all want someone to look up to, someone that we can point to as an example of what is possible, of what we could be, but really we don't know these people. We don't know who they are. We don't know their motives. We don't know what kind of lives they're actually leading. And in the case of Andrew Tate, we saw what kind of life he was actually leading, and he's being prosecuted for it now.
Yeah.
But we're all susceptible to people like this and to their charms. I am really into Captain America and Aragorn, but they are not real. Literally, I know that. 14-year-old boys, unfortunately, do not know how to make that distinction yet. And for such a susceptible population, I'm glad that at least a handful of them won't have their entire ideologies and identities hijacked by such a terrible human being, assuming that what they're doing over in the UK is effective in the long run.
Yeah,
sorry, a little tangential, sorry.
No, it's okay. I enjoyed every bit of it. I have not watched a lot of his stuff because I'm sane and I realize that there are other things one can do with their time. But I will agree with him that he's not saying anything new. And that's what I don't know how much this will matter to the acolytes of Andrew Tate, but like, do you get that? First of all, there's 1,000 other guys with 3 brain cells to rub together that realize that selling easy misogyny, racism, and homophobia is going to make them money. That's not new. It's not unique now. There have always been men doing this constantly. They see that there is a little bit of social progress being made, whether by women, by the LGBTQ community, and they will fuel the knee-jerk reaction to that. It's an easy product to sell. Like for a long time, there's always people who are trying to sell self-improvement, the idea that if you follow X method, you can become better. But you know what's more appealing than that? What if you didn't have to become better? What if you gave me your money and I would tell you that you're actually the best thing that's ever happened, purely because of innate things? You were born a man and thus you are superior. You were born white and thus you are superior. Did you know that you happen to worship the one true God and all the rest are complete heathens? That is always going to sell better than self-improvement. The idea that you are innately superior to other people and they just need to accept that. And if they don't, you're morally justified in using violence against them. For people who feel a little bit isolated or whatever, that's going to be an appealing thing because you don't have to do anything other than maybe give Andrew Tate $50 a month while making him rich, not off of the things he will tell you should do to become rich, but by extracting your money from you. And if you are an acolyte of Andrew Tate, you should be appalled, not just because he's obviously scamming you and it's the clearest thing ever, but because along the way, he's violating every one of the stupid, shallow principles he says he believes. This is a dude who says that, sure, men are gonna be in a dominant position, but once they're in that dominant position, they're gonna be protectors. Is he protecting women when he rapes them, when he forces them into sexual exploitation? Those sort, like, is he a protector? I know that you think that men are protectors. Is he a good exemplar of that? When he says that masculinity is being taken for granted by society, that they use men, he's using you for $50 a month. He's getting wealthy by taking your hard-earned money. If you believe that men being abused is a bad thing, then you should be angry at no one more than at Andrew Tate at this point. And by the way, he's probably gonna end up in jail because the dude has committed a lot of crimes. But if he does, bear in mind, there's gonna be 1,000 attempts to take his place. I'm sure that they're already there. They're probably salivating at this opportunity. They're gonna be creating sham online universities and pumping out no thought required misogynistic and racist content because they know there's always going to be young, weak men who are gonna find that appealing.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, misogyny is nothing new. It's something that we're all used to, unfortunately. It's really very sad. But like the product that these men are being sold, or these young boys, I should say, the product that they're being sold in this case is a belief, but it's fueled by arrogance and narcissism. And I'm not even talking about within the leader, within Andrew Tate. It's within the followers, right? It's easy to believe that the thing that you want to believe is true because it is the thing that you believe. And whatever you believe is right because you're smart and you're enlightened, or you are unable to be tricked into something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's like a never ending loop and it's very exhausting for everyone, especially for the women.
Yeah. And by the way, I know that men need like role models or whatever. I think there are a lot of great role models. I think it's super weird that the only role models men are supposed to look up to are dudes who like shave their head and make videos about masculinity. I don't know why that's supposedly a thing. Because just to make a comparison of this one guy I know, me, I have a job I enjoy, hobbies I enjoy. I'm in a happy marriage and I'm not in prison right now. So I think it's objectively a better model than the Andrew Tate thing where you get to like have cars and like theoretically that makes him happy, even though if they were making him happy, why does he have to continue to buy new ones? And now he's in prison. It's not a great model, actually.
I think you're wonderful. I think you're a nice guy. So I'll vouch for you. Yeah.
It's like a good role model, like Bernie Sanders. The
He's
dude
very nice,
has spent decades advocating for his values. He hasn't committed any felonies.
Clean, wonderful.
He's been married for decades.
And he's very sassy too. I like that about him.
Yeah, he's sassy. He's got wild hair. Anyway.
Love it. I'm a fan of wild hair.
Whereas Andrew Tate is just doing like a really belated impersonation of the pickup artist style decades later.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's so
yeah, and I don't know a whole lot of women who are like attracted to that brand of man either. I mean, I shouldn't generalize, but like personally, no. Like, I've never looked at Andrew Tate and been like, yes, please. Like it's never happened.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.